sense of happiness. Where is that today, ladies and gentlemen? Where is that today, our St. Joseph people? So I want to point out to you the importance of preserving the achievements of previous government, and particularly the PP government under Mrs. Kamala Persad-Bissessar. Those achievements must be used as benchmarks in all documentation and cannot be lost as the government tries to erase and eradicate those achievements. And for example, trade and economics, which I use a lot to provide me with a lot of data, identifies Q1 2014 as the highest employment ever in Trinidad and Tobago. Who was in government then? Thank you very much. Why isn't that preserved in our budget in every year? That should be a benchmark included in all documentation, all budgetary installments that says this is the bottom that we want to reach, and this is where we are going to propel from. We should not be using the ashes that we live in today to show changes in our economic performance. We cannot use and continue to use the lowest common denominator by which to measure our success. We have to establish proper benchmarks. And to establish proper benchmarks, we have to be able to preserve our achievements, because that achievement under the PP government is not a UNC achievement. It's a Trinidad and Tobago citizen achievement. And we must recognize that. Secondly, I want to continue with that question of employment and say how we must translate the macroeconomic factors into the micro impact. Trade and economics, again, I want to reference it because of what it has done. It spoke to the decline in the employment levels by 51,000 persons. Very often, our economists and our analysts, after the budget is presented, leave that figure there. Okay, so we have 51,000 persons unemployed, and we move on the next day. I want you all to multiply 51,000 persons just simply earning $1,000 a month. That's $51 million in 1 month. Multiply that by a year. That's $612 million in the pockets of our population just by the reduction in the employment levels. We are talking about no taxes yet. We are talking about no penalties yet. But this government has sucked out from the families and the households just by sheer unemployment 600, and using some minimal figure. But by the way, I just want to put on the table the median salary take home in Trinidad and Tobago today is $7,000, and I'll get into that a little bit. So, but think of it. Let's do the reverse. Mrs. Kamala Persad's government created 60,000 jobs. Let us not leave that there. Just multiply that by $1,000 a month take home. That is $720 million a year injected into the economy with multiplier effects that allows a family to walk every aisle in the supermarket and not make a list beforehand and just go for 3 aisles and say this is all we can afford. That allows a family to go into those stalls on Arangwes Main Road and not to have to pick up 5 strings of bodi, but could pick up a bundle. And if our supermarket association and our businesses understand that money in the hands of our population can contribute to their business growth, and it is a real thing, it contributed to our economic buoyancy between 2010 and 2015. It contributed to the business growth between that period. And it very importantly, it contributed to consumer confidence in our economy. And that is so absolutely important. And I want to talk a little bit about a survey we just did. That included 500 persons. And again, let's talk about the impact, because let's break it down like this. The average median household earns $7,000 a month. The average family living in an urban area, area meaning I can walk to the main road and get a taxi, spends an average of $30 a day per person just in the cost of transport due to the removal of the subsidies. $30 a day. Just 3 persons in a family, that's $90 a day. 90 times 5. Forget the weekend. They're home with a cold pot. They're going nowhere. They're going no movies, no beach. Multiply that, and you will end up with $450. 9 fives, 45. $450 a week. When you multiply that per month for the household earning $7,000, that just cost of transport accounts for 25% of the take home. We talk about nothing else yet. And we have a government that has no conscience that a family earning $7,000 is paying just on transport, the family of 3, 25%. All right, look at the social the disconnect now and the disproportionate effect on somebody in a rural area. In a rural area, they pay for an average of $40 to $42 a day. When we calculated what percentage of that $7,000, that takes us up to 35% of your salary. 35% of your salary just because you have to send your children to school. Oh, what a burden going to school it has become. Now, add that to supermarkets. When you go into the supermarket, I think the chairman said this. He said that people are afraid to enter the supermarket. The average spend in the supermarket, including the market, is $2,500 to $2,800 for a family of 4 and a family of 3. That leaves a family with $1,800. And how are people making out? They have a hustler business on the side. 25% of our working population has a hustler business on the side. What does that mean? You see that single mother is leaving her teenage boy at 12, 11, and 13 and 14 at home alone. And we wonder why our young people do not have the sort of discipline around them. We want to keep our grandparents working until 65. But don't you think it's much better if we provide an environment where the elder folks can stay home and live comfortably and provide that sort of oversight to our young children? We need to rethink our society today. I want to get back on the question of where I pointed out consumer confidence. I have looked for the consumer confidence index in Trinidad and Tobago. There is none. None. How then do we get our voices included in the budget? It is one of the most powerful indicators of any economy, in the sense that even before the businesses feel the effect of a decline, the consumers and the households feel it, because the businesses only feel the effect, the fall off of a decline. Only feel the businesses only feel the fall off of the decline after the consumer stops spending. Isn't that right? So if the consumer stops spending, the sales of the businesses go down, correct? So what does that mean is that the consumer confidence index is a precursor to alerting you to what is to come in the business sector. And we do not have a consumer confidence index in Trinidad and Tobago to represent, the voices of the people, and to give a lead to what is going to happen in our economy. That is why I want to congratulate the UNC even more for this. It helps add the voices of the people to the budget, which is not what we are accustomed to. It helps democratize the whole process of the budget. But I want to close on one thing Vade said down at SWWTU. He spoke to the Forex being available. It doesn't belong to anyone. Our foreign exchange belong to the people. He said the central bank is just an agency that affords through the banking sector the distribution of our forex, and it belongs to the people. Well, let me tell you something. The taxes that we contribute is not owned by IMBE, is not owned by Rowley, it is not owned by the PNM. That, as well as the foreign exchange, belong to the people of this country. Okay? And I want to invoke, for those who are listening, and maybe Damien can speak to this, the concept of the public trust doctrine, which is only applied to things like the environment belong to the people and we need to preserve it, which belong to like the natural, I don't know, natural, what you call it, those kind of architecture and stuff belong to the people and we need to preserve it. The same way, the forex belong to the people. Anything that is not owned by any entity and you have a government acting in trust for the people should be placed, in my respectful view, under the public trust doctrine, and that includes the forex as well as the taxes in our country. We have, and in closing, let me say this. I keep hearing two or three disconnected lines. And those disconnected lines are this. One, where the money gone? Right? We have nothing to show for it. Two, how are we going to recover and return this country to where it should be? Well, I want to say, look for where the money gone, and we could then use that to restore our country, right? That is I believe, if I have to say, as a taxpayer, invest $5 billion to get back $20 billion, that is an investment any businessman, layman, is willing to take. Look for where the money gone, and we can start to find that money to restore our country, our people. And I want to congratulate everyone for coming out here this evening. You all are soldiers of democracy. We are all soldiers of democracy, because the more we contribute and take part in these sessions, the more we reduce the dictatorship that we are seeing. So good night and get home safe, everyone.
Thank you, everybody, for staying, even though we had that outage for a brief moment there. So I will not delay in introducing the next speaker before the electricity go again, but you know we're sitting down still to hear what's going on. So, ladies and gentlemen, patriots of Trinidad and Tobago and loyal supporters of the United National Congress, let's give a resounding welcome to a man who embodies the very essence of leadership and service, Mr. Damien Lyder. From the very start, Damien has had a burning passion to serve his fellow countrymen and women. Armed with a bachelor's degree in business administration and commerce from the prestigious University of Ontario, Damien is not just a man of words, he's a man of action, and we have seen it. He's a trailblazer, bringing fresh vision and unmatched drive to the table, ready to tackle the challenges that face our beloved nation. Deeply rooted in community affairs and with a history in politics that spans years, Damien has always known that the United National Congress is the true vehicle for change in Trinidad and Tobago. He's been a steadfast supporter of this party, and now he's stepping up to take the commitment to the next level. But Damien Lyder is not just about talk, he's about results. A result-driven, self-motivated, and resourceful leader. Damien has proven time and time again his ability to transform and strengthen businesses, making them dynamic and progressive powerhouses of efficiency and profitability. Imagine what this man can do for our nation. He's no stranger to hard work, and his track record speaks for itself. Damien has left an indelible mark on every private business he's touched. And now he's bringing that same energy, that same determination to halls of parliament. He is driven by a single, unwavering. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Damien Leiter is not just a leader. He's a force of change, a champion for the people, and a warrior for a brighter tomorrow. Let's stand with him as he takes on the noble mission to transform Trinidad and Tobago into a nation we can be. Welcome, Mr. Senator Damien Leiter.
Thank you, Madam Chair Lady. Oh my God. May I get a copy of that document? Whoever wrote that, I want that on my team, boy. Wow. But I would like to sum it up by saying, in my humility, that I am simply your humble servant this evening. So thank you for having me in St. Joseph. Thank you very much for having me, sir. And how ironic it is. How ironic it is that we are here in that marginal seat, that fiercely contested seat of St. Joseph. And we get a blackout while at UNC having a budget consultation. But you know, after listening to my two colleagues on the side here, Dominic Smith, with that passion in the darkness, he didn't have to read anything, you know. It was straight from his head, passion. And then this lady blew my mind away with her knowledge, Miss Maharaj. You know, it reminds me of what our political leader says. Though we stood up here in the dark, what is in the dark will always come out to light. And we heard that tonight when we heard the dire situation of our economy, which is now coming to light, not just to the opposition in the UNC, but to every single citizen in this country. And I go as far as to say not just the average citizen, but the business community as well. The various chambers of commerce are starting to step out of their crease. For years, they've stayed quiet. We heard Madam Maharaj say that they have been staying quiet because they fear victimization. But let me tell you all this here tonight. I'm a businessman. And I am standing up to talk out tonight. I fear no victimization. You know why? Because if business people like us don't get up and call this government and hold this government to account, then what is there to risk? You will lose it all anyway. You will lose it all anyway. So it is time that business people get up. Time they get up. We call on the business chambers. We call on civil society to get up and let your voices be heard. Do not be afraid of victimization. We need all hands on deck today. We need all voices to speak. Everyone from top right down to get up and hold this PNM government to account. And we need to do it now, right now. Brothers and sisters, let me tell you this. I listened to my two colleagues before. They both practice economics. I did economics in university. I wouldn't say that I'm an economist. I may be a bush economist. But I certainly represent the United National Congress in the Senate, and I speak on an annual basis. So far, it's been 4 budgets that I've debated. This year should be 5. Of course, I thank the political leader for giving me that opportunity. But year after year, brothers and sisters, we stand up in that parliament, serving the people, holding the PNM to account, and we hear all the same every year. Promises, promises, promises that never seem to materialize. But you see, facts are a stubborn thing. At the end of the day, the PNM government cannot run away from the fact that they have declined this economy by over 20%. They cannot run away from that. They can't run away from the fact that they have taken debt in this country to almost $140 billion, when Kamala Persad-Bissessy in 2015 left it under $70 billion. So they've almost doubled debt in their 9 years. We cannot forget the fact that they've taken debt to GDP to almost 80%. When it was Kamala Persad-Bissessy in power, it was under 50%. And I'm sure my good economist, Brother Siri Ram, will tell you that that is even a falsified number. Because if you really take into account the true debt of this country, it will be a lot worse than we see it here today. But I'm not here to speak about debt today, though my time is limited. If we looked at facts, we would also understand that more than 1.7 billion US dollars in foreign direct investment left our doors. That is foreign exchange gone, along with Trinidad shutdown was given us 300 million a year in US dollars. So when you stand up in the bank waiting for $500, ask yourself the question, why? Was it Kamala Prasad-Bissessar did that? Or was it Keith Christopher Rowley and the PNM put you in that position? You see, my good friend Rudal Munilal said it right. I love to echo his sentiment. He says, when you think back between 2010 and 2015, what has happened to Trinidad and Tobago? What has happened to the paradise that Kamala Prasad-Bissessar left between 2010 and 2015 when we see the state of this country today? When we see, according to the central bank, not according to the UNC, 46,000 jobs lost under this government. When Kamala Prasad-Bissessar added 60,000 jobs, you heard our lady speak 60,000. That is what Kamala Prasad-Bissessar did. Brothers and sisters, Forex wasn't an issue. The small, medium, and micro businessman in this country could survive. But now today, in the Forex crisis, a small, medium, and micro business can barely get 5,000 US dollars a month. And it used to be a situation where big boys were getting the Forex and the SMEs getting nothing. But more and more today, I challenge big business today and those chambers today to come to the table to tell us, how are you doing with Forex? Because even those big companies are feeling the pinch now. Even they are feeling the pinch now. This government has created this foreign exchange crisis, and that is why you struggle to get money. If you have an opportunity to send your children to school in England and the US, you have to use 5 credit cards to try to pay. Because now the banks have lowered credit card limits to 5,000. In one case in RBC, 1,500. How can you pay school fees on that? Brothers and sisters, when we look at the ease of doing business in this country, when Kamala Prasad-Bissessar was in power, we were rated number 67th in the world according to the World Bank. Those are facts. The last time there was a reading, about 3 years ago, and Keith Rowley better thank the World Bank for stopping the reading 3 years ago, but the last 5th in the world for the ease of doing business. It has now become harder to get electricity, water, building approvals, tongue and country, open a bank account, open a business in this country when the whole government system has crashed. You can't even do your annual returns. Brothers and sisters, that is the state of our economy today under this government. And when we think about the ease of doing business, and we know that foreign exchange has become a crisis, the biggest crisis of them all is the crime situation in this country that has affected every single citizen of this nation. White, black, Chinese, Indian, everybody in trouble today. Rich, poor, businessman, worker, you have to worry if you can make it home alive. Every SME today, those that have survived, because we know that more than 6,000 SMEs have shut their doors after the COVID pandemic, and thousands more holding on for their life. I didn't say that, It was the Consolidated Chambers that said that. You see, so Rowley and them can't run away from the facts, People are coming out now and they're opening now because they can't take it anymore. They cannot take it under this, and they need Kamala Prasad-Bissessar to come back and rescue this country. Brothers and sisters, and talk about diversification of the economy. After they have crashed our energy sector, after manufacturing, overall manufacturing has declined by more than 16%, this government holds on to a prayer, hoping and praying that some war breaks out somewhere so they can get higher oil prices and gas prices, because they failed to diversify the economy. Because we've seen tourism decline, we've seen agriculture decline, we've seen the financial sector decline. Everything under this government has declined. And what do they resort to doing? What Imbert, the Dwen from Diego Martin, northeast, sorry. What does he resort to doing? The first matter of business is to cut social programs. When Kamala Prasad Bisesa gave the mothers of this country the milk grant, the baby grant, when Kamala Prasad Bisesa gave you food cards, when Kamala Prasad Bisesa increased the meals for children at schools, they come and they cut school feeding, they cut out the milk grant, they cut the baby grant. When she built you a children's hospital, they're so wicked, they don't even love children. They pull along the word children from the hospital. And they can't open it yet. Yet we stand here this evening in Arang West North Secondary School, which is one of the 106 schools that Kamala Prasad Bisesa built under her tenure. And my friend, the counselor, the good-looking, handsome counselor, the side there, I know he's a famous counselor in the area. He reminded me that the St. Joseph Secondary School right here in St. Joseph remains incomplete and has been looted and is now a cowshed. In fact, we understand there was a murder that happened in that school. Brothers and sisters, that is one of the more than 300 and almost 70-something murders for this year. Almost 5,000 under Ethelbert Hines. And now they give Batman Rob Hen. They give Batman Rob Hen. Not Robin, Rob Hen. If it wasn't so serious, we go laugh, But it is serious. This is a serious situation we're in. But if they're not cutting the grants, if they're not taking away subsidies by raising your fuel not once, but 6 times and you're riot yet, that's how calling members laugh at you. If they haven't done that, if they haven't increased business levy and green fund levy for the businessman in this country, if they haven't given you tire tax, if they haven't put back on taxes on more than 7,000 food items, VAT that Kamala Prasad Bisesa removed because she understood the people of Trinidad and Tobago need to afford to eat. That is what Kamala did. Now we have to deal with something that I wanted to close with tonight, my main topic. And that is something called property tax. It is coming for you, brothers and sisters. And you see, right here in St. Joseph, it's coming for you even harder. Right here in Aranguez, down the road in Barataria, these are the people, you all are going to get so hit hard with property tax. And they try to trivialize property tax. Brothers and sisters, let me tell you, they come here with property tax. They come here to tell you that we need to help the corporations get some money through property tax. That's what they come to do. At a time when an economy is suffering, at a time when there's mass unemployment in this country, at a time when businesses are struggling to survive, you come in to burden the citizens of this country more tax? Well, I tell you here today, Kamala Prasad Bisesa has said, you put her into office, we will scrap that tax. That's the first matter of business, is to scrap that tax. It was axe the tax, we're going to unscrap the tax now. Brothers and sisters, let me tell you this. They're coming to you to tell you that they're going to put property tax. After you worked your life and saved money in your life to buy a property, after you have paid stamp duty, for those who have bought a property, you know you have paid stamp duty. For those of you who have upgraded your property, you have paid for materials and labor, and you've paid VAT tax after your business or income tax has already been taxed. So tax upon tax upon tax. And when you try to better yourself by improving your property, somebody coming by you to tell you your property value high, and we come in and tax you again. And up to this day, no, not one of us could understand the proper criteria being used to value your property. That is the biggest secret in Trinidad. Look, brothers and sisters, let me tell you something. I'm not making this up, I have here in my hand today a valuation for my property. a valuation for my property. I have it here today. I got it in the mail just yesterday. And just 2 months ago, I got a valuation as well for the same property. This valuation here, now I have to say, a getaway, a lucky. But not everybody lucky like me. This valuation is $100,000 less than the valuation I received on the same property just 2 months ago. How did that happen? In the street right next to my street, I have a resident who has received 3 valuations on their properties, all at different values. Right here in this constituency, a friend remind me, in fact, just it was a resident in Curep. The husband received a valuation of 100,000. The wife received one of 85,000 for the same property. So what is the criteria being used by this government to value your property? So I stood in the parliament before they stood up on standing orders to shut me down, because you see, when this government hears the truth in the parliament and we bring the truth to them, it's standing order after standing order after standing order to try to stop us from speaking the truth. They try to silence us and muzzle us in the parliament. And I got up there seeing it, and I got up and I said, and I watched across at the finance minister, and I said, who came into my home and walked in my kitchen and walked in my bedroom and saw if I had a pool or not? Who came in my home and valued my home? How do you know that is the amount of rent I could get for my house? You stood up at the curbside and valued my house? Nobody in this country understands exactly how the valuation has been done. There is criteria. The government can show you the criteria. But if you haven't walked through your house with somebody from valuations, how do you know that they've used the right criteria? And we see this happening more and more through the country, where people have conflicting values on their property. Then the government comes and changes the rules and the legislation to say that we will implement property tax when we get to 50% of the valuations. So they got 50% of persons who submitted. But I'm saying to you, they told us, but to 50%. Okay? But let me ask you a question. Is that not discrimination? So for the 50% who have their values in now today and have been assessed, come October, you're going to be charged. What happened to the other 50%? So we have discrimination in this country. And how do we know what properties they chose over others? Brothers and sisters, I can't give you the answers. You know why? Because they have done this in the still of the night, like a thief in the night. They've done it in the darkness. And brothers and sisters, they came to us in the parliament. Colin Imbert and the PNM feel they're smarter, and they feel you are dotish. They feel you are stupid. So they come to the parliament knowing that the population is upset about property tax, does not understand the property tax, and they try to hoodwink you by coming to the parliament and saying, oh, we are going to reduce the amount from 3% down to 2%. Now, you tell me how that makes sense. If you have a flawed evaluation to begin with, and you don't know how they came to that value, how do you now feel okay that you go from 3% to 2%? But I want to tell you all something. I was in that debate. And in that piece of legislation, the Minister of Finance has the power. He has given himself the power in that legislation to carry it right back up to 3%, to 4%, to 5%. Brothers and sisters, let me tell you all this. He's given himself these powers. I am going to quote for you what he said. He said to the parliament and to the population at large that because we understand the cries of the people, we are going to phase it in. So we're moving it from 3 to 2%. Now, what does phase it in mean? It means that here now, we know you're a little upset, so we will give you a little ease up now. We will phase it in, and then we go phase it up. If you give them 5 more years, they go phase it up. But let me tell you what the frightening part was. That was the frightening part, you know. The frightening part was that this gentleman, when the opposition stood up, all 6 senators in the opposition, in the UNC opposition, stood up and challenged him. And let me also say the independent senators challenged him about putting a ceiling on your power. Because you can't give a minister of finance that much power to raise tax the way he wanted his women fancy. You know what Minister Imbert said? I have listened to you, and I will cap it at 10%. You all didn't hear that, you know. I am telling you all, he said he's capping it at 10%. So if you are paying $2,000 today in your property tax, make up your mind, if they continue to crash the economy, if they continue to take us down the precipice into the hands of the IMF, make up your mind, he could take you up to $10,000 today. You could be spending $2,000 tomorrow. You give them 5 more years, you could be spending $10,000 on property tax. And I want to tell you something else that is relevant to the people of St. Joseph and Arangwes here today. You all know that we live in a community in St. Joseph here where you have residents and where you have industrial companies, you have commercial businesses, and you have agriculture. You know that. So sometimes you have residents living next to industrial and commercial. Are you all aware that to this day, not a single industrial property, not a single commercial property, and not a single agricultural piece of land has been assessed for property tax today? So this means that come October, when you, the residents, the citizens, the hard-working citizens of St. Joseph, have to go and pay your property tax, your neighbor who has a factory, your neighbor who has a bar or a piece of land have no property tax to pay right now. Now, I have nothing against business, you know. I am pro-business. I want to see the factories prosper. I want to see businesses and commerce prosper. But let us be real, brothers and sisters. How unfair is it that when there is wear and tear done to your community by the same factories, by the same commercial properties, trucks mashing up the culvert, creating potholes, all of these businesses require the same levels of service from the corporations. And don't talk about the agriculture because they shouldn't have to face no property tax whatsoever. With the food import bill over $5 billion today, and the farmers today suffering from a lack of attention by this government and from perennial larceny, the government should not put them under any further burden. But I'm saying to you that you cannot come and tax citizens in St. Joseph who are hardworking when commercial properties and industrial properties are getting away scot-free. Who are you protecting, Rowley? Who are you protecting, Imbert? Is it your friends, family, and financiers who have their factories here that you don't want them to pay the property tax? So I say to this government, first of all, we do not support any form of property tax for anyone at this point in time. We don't support any. Kamala Pasabi says no to all property tax at this point in time. But I'm saying to you, you cannot, until you have completed the assessment on a 100% of the citizens in this country and their homes, until you've completed the assessment on commercial properties, until you've completed the assessment on industrial properties, you can't tax anybody in this country. So you have to stop the tax now. Stop it now. Stop it now. Now, I want to say one final point when it comes to this property tax. Because I could go on and on about the fact that there was a letter, MP Saddam Hussein had exposed it, that there was a letter sent to the permanent secretary stating the qualifications of those coming to value your properties. And that one of the most important criteria was that they have to have completed the Royal Institute of Chartered Surveyors. Brothers and sisters, the complaint came that not one of them was qualified by the Royal Institute by the Royal Institute of Chartered Surveyors, not one. In fact, brothers and sisters, not a single one of them didn't even have a degree when it was related to valuations. So those are the people coming out valuing your properties. But the final thing I will say as I wrap up here, brothers and sisters, fair is fair. Fair is fair with property tax. In the legislation, it is stated, and Imbert and his clown cart of the PNM have boasted, they said 100% in the legislation, 100% of all property tax collected from residents will go to the corporation. Okay? Okay, no, all right, if that's the case, great. But I was trying to figure out, where does the property tax being collected from industrial and commercial properties go to? And we couldn't find it in the legislation. When we looked lower down, I looked lower down in legislation, I found under Section 10C of the Local Government Reform Bill. And it said that the Minister of Finance, when it comes to industrial and commercial properties, may decide how much goes to the corporations and how much will go to the consolidated fund. So hear what? That opens the door, brothers and sisters, for political victimization, depending on the corporation that you are in. So if you are in a UNC corporation, they could starve you. The minister, a political appointee, a member of the executive arm of the state, can decide whether he will put any with the corporation and how much you put in the consolidated fund. And if it's a PNM corporation, well, you know all the money going for them. Yet they still don't seem to even fix their own roads, their own drains in their PNM constituencies. Brothers and sisters, as I come to a close, I put it to you here. We are in very dark days. We're in very dark days when we have a government that is without a mission, a vision, a plan. We are with a government that has no idea how to diversify our economy. We are with a government that has no idea how to run this country without taxing and burdening the citizens of this country. Brothers and sisters, it is time. It is time that Trinidad and Tobago get up. Put aside race. Put aside religion. Put aside your political tribalism. Put aside all of these things and vote for a government who will deliver, who will fix this country, who will take away the pain of this country. Brothers and sisters, this is a battle we are going to fight. This is a battle we are going to fight. Right here in St. Joseph, I'm a Roman Catholic. There are lots of Roman Catholics in this area here, amongst many other religions. I say to you, the battle is real. And just as Daniel went into the lion's den, and Samson conquered the Philistines, so too will Kamala Persad-Bissessar, the United National Congress, conquer this draconian, evil dictator of Keith Rowley and the PNM. I thank you, brothers and sisters.
I want to say thank you to our three dynamic speakers. At this time, we would open the floor. I would like to remind speakers for your contribution. You have 3 minutes. So I'll call upon the first speaker to contribute.
Thank you very much. Pleasant good evening, St. Joseph. How are you people? Okay, you all in song like all are ready to go to battle. Are we ready for battle? Okay. I have been asked to speak a little on, given the time constraints, on WASA. I guess it's maybe because of the 40 years that I spent at the Water and Sewage Authority and the fact that I continue to connect with the WASA personnel when there are problems, and there are many problems that Blister, St. Joseph, El Socorro, Barataria, and throughout the country. In fact, today, as you are now clear that we now have no water until Sunday, God willing. You can imagine, tell me how that making sense, that for 2 consecutive years in the budget presentation, $500 million for maintenance to be given to WASA was taken out. So couldn't maintain what they would normally do. There are some people who I will normally talk with, managers from the different districts, and these individuals go above and beyond the call to try to see if they could resolve the problem. But they are very efficient guys. But it is my humble view that this government is purposely starving the organization because of the agenda that they have for the Water and Treasure Authority, as they had for Petrotrin. They have an agenda. There was supposed to be a CEO that was supposed to be here. Unfortunately, I think he passed away. He probably only here that Raul is the Prime Minister, and things just went black for him. But I just wanted you to know that the situation requires every hand on deck. Everyone. You mustn't think it is me alone and them fellas go and organize it. Every person will have a responsibility to identify those in your community, in your streets, to come out, to ensure that we can see the light again. Just as how we have been in the darkness for a short while, it is time to let the sun rise. And therefore, I call upon you to do just that. Come out and let us battle to bring back good governance to this country under the astute leadership, the kind-hearted nature of Kamla Persad Bissessa, our political leader and the next Prime Minister of the country. It requires all of you, all hands on deck. We know that people are always saying, boy, I ain't voting PNM again, you know. But as you hear that big truck passing and they throw a little thing on top of the truck coming on the road, you'll see them fellas lining up. Because they know. Because that's the politics they've been playing for many, many years. But you are the ones who have been suffering as they have been. But you must think about the future for yourselves, for your children, your grandchildren, your brothers, your sisters, and for those who have parents alive. I unfortunately lost my both parents. But you must battle for them. And I gave them the commitment that I will continue to battle till the last breath from my body is removed. Once the last breath is out, then I can't battle that battle again. But the battle is waging, and we must be part and parcel of the movement forward to bring sanity to this country. St. Joseph constituency, we have continually had problems with water. Well, today we have a different kind of water problem. They ain't sending none. Whereas before, you'll get a 1 day, a 2 day supply. Water leaks on Arangwes Main Road is a nightmare. We're getting ruptures all over, and that is because by taking all the $500 million for the last 2 budgets for the maintenance purposes of pumps and equipment, which fail regularly. These pumps are in dire need of upgrading. They have something called preventative maintenance, but there's also something called predictive maintenance. In the Water and Treasure Authority, they don't employ predictive. It is the wait and see. When it breaks down, we are going to try to fix. But they have difficulty in purchasing the equipment that they need to buy. Mr. Marvin Gonzalez clearly is carrying out the agenda to cripple the Water and Treasure Authority, to bring in what they have to bring in, and to ensure that they will reduce, they will restructure the organization. All the pretty talk Mr. Gonzalez is continually talking about, that thing will happen, it is on the line, it's on the table. They're discussing it. And the union seems to be spineless at this time in trying to deal with that issue. But the truth be told, that we all are in this thing together to save Trinidad and Tobago. It requires every man to understand what they must do. Do not wait for somebody else to do it. You are the ones that have to do it. The fight that my colleagues have put together over the few years that we have been here has in fact set the tone for us to know that there's a certain level of reciprocity that requires for the hard work that they put out, that we must make sure that the Honorable Kamla Prasad Bisesa comes into power. That's what they're battling. And to come after that fast bowling there just now, I say was cricket playing in the over, because I know I had to come after the bat. So it would have been difficult. But you all have given the strength and the courage them to continue to battle. And therefore you must continue to give them the support that is necessary. There are many ills about the Water and Sewage Authority, but there are some good things that are happening. There are some people who try their endeavor to try to resolve the problems on a daily basis. Some of them I call all the time. I wouldn't like to call their names as we're going live. But there are people who I respect, and they continue to try their endeavor, given the minimum amount of equipment that they have in their possession at this time, because they're not purchasing the maintenance material, the equipment, so that they're having difficulty in getting things done. So you will find things take a little longer. In fact, one of the biggest things that was have a problem with is road restoration. After the road is disturbed, you could fall on a big hole after a couple of days and you're passing back in that same area. Road restoration is something that's far from getting your fingers on. All right? And we have attempted, because as you know, I am Alderman Nazimul Mohammed, at the corporation to try to see if we can utilize the material from WASA and we will supply the labor. But we need help, because we don't have the kind of material that they will be exposed to. Hopefully, if an arrangement like that comes, we'll be able to do some of these things, because there's a period of time you have to wait for it to settle and so on, and then we're going to do the restoration. Proper restoration, because usually when they restore, people are unable to drive on the road because you're bang, 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 and the road sink all the time. There's always a problem on the road when they do the restoration. All right, so I've just gotten my red light, so that means you have been a very attentive audience, but I try my best to try to bring to the fore some of the things that we need to do. The most important one is to stay together, because the battle is going to be a big battle and every hand must be on deck. Get everybody to join to put back Kamla Prasad Bisesa as the next Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago and to save our country. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Nazimul Mohammed. As I said, the floor is open, and I remind speakers they have 3 minutes for their contribution. So do we have a next speaker? Speakers, please state your name and your address.
Pleasant good night, everyone. Member of Parliament for St. Augustine, Ms. Khadija Amin, our invited guests, Mr. Alexander Smith, Ms. Maraj, and Mr. Damian Leiter. Ladies and gentlemen, to my hard-working councillor, Raquel Ghani, and my team, it is my pleasure to be here tonight, and my contribution is direct to the Minister of Social Development. My topic tonight is, what is this government doing for persons with disability and persons with special needs? Can anybody answer that here? No. I can answer that. I am a living example of that. Can Ramsarup Samarut stand, please? Face the audience. Yes, my brother. That is my son. I've struggled from day one. He was given oxygen in Mount Hope Hospital from birth and damaged his eyes. He cannot see, he's totally blind. This mother had to fight on her own to bring this child to where he is today. No help, no assistance. And I would like the minister to answer my question. Can $2,000, what can $2,000 grant do for these special needs and these disabled people when you have a water bill to pay, a light bill to pay, medicine to buy, transportation, education, right? People who have children, they have school uniform, school books. They need special type of diet. And now we are being placed with property tax. How can we survive, members? Can we survive? Okay, well, I am the one who will continue at these forums to speak out. They're supposed to have programs, training seminars, workshops to educate the parents of these special needs so that they will be able to deal with these special children home. They have these special people in wheelchairs and they need assistance. They cannot provide the quality treatment for these children or these persons alone. They need assistance. How are they going to pay for that assistance? My son cannot even get a food card. They say he's not qualified. I would like to know what is the criteria to get a food card when you is totally disabled. That is so shame. I was recommended to go by Jason Jack from the minister. He told me, Miss Samari, in 2 months she will get the food card. 9 years have passed. I never see the food card yet. This is the government we have here. Don't you not think that we're supposed to get rid of them? Yes. No? Yes. Right now. Bring back our political leader, Kamala Prasad Bisesa, and she will decide where we go from here. These children have nowhere to go. Members, I will leave the rest for another forum. But I would like you all to come out and do this. Stay in your fingers. Stay in your fingers. We can make the difference. I thank you very much.
Thank you, Sandra Samaru, for your contribution. We have a next speaker. Someone else wants to make a contribution? Please remember to introduce yourself and what area you're from.
Thank you. Hi, good night. My name is Janelle. I am from the Moundo area. When I was a child, I used to be afraid of the dark. But now, as an adult, it's the light I fear. Every time I turn on a light or use an appliance, I worry about how much it's going to cost me. It feels like a burden on me, an already strained wallet in a country where the cost of living is climbing. Even the basics are becoming luxuries. And it is not just electricity. The price of groceries is so high that some parents are forced to juggle 2 and 3 jobs just to put food on the table for a 5-member family. They're exhausted. I'm exhausted, working around the clock, fighting a battle just to survive. It's a cruel reality when the most basic of human needs, like feeding my family, becomes a difficult task. The cost of living keeps going up, but my paycheck ain't going nowhere. Then there's the anxiety. The fear comes with living in a country where crime is rampant. And the only solution is to stop vehicles and remove tint or charge them for tint. This government is really taking us for fools. We lock our doors, set alarms, pray that tonight won't be the night someone breaks into our homes. It's not just the physical threat, it's the mental toll, constantly looking over your shoulders, wondering if you or your loved ones are next. This rising crime rate is a result of people being desperate, trying to get by in an economy that's not working for them. We need to tackle crime from the root, not just put a plaster on it. Thank you.
Thank you, Janelle. Next speaker.
Thank you. Hello, good evening. My name is Marcy McLean. I'm from this constituency, St. Joseph. I would like to touch on children and after they leave school, what life they have, right? I brought my son here when he was 9 years old from the States. He went to primary school, then he passed for the college. When we were in the States, before he was 5 years of age, he was assessed for the developmental problems. He was assessed to see what level he was IQ-wise. And at that young age, they were able to monitor him and to check and make sure, okay, so what is he interested in? And at the age of 7, he was asked to enter a program in a field in which he showed interest, which was nature. He wanted to be a vet for wild animals. Now, the reason why I bring up this is because fast forward, we come to Trinidad, 9, 10. So he passed for college and I'm thinking, okay, let me see how I can hook him up with some group, some club, some organization. Let me find out how I can fast track him and get him rooted in what it is he is interested in. Nothing. They tell me, oh, we have it, but it's if he's 18. 18 is too late. 18, they told me. So I'm like, okay, all right, you know. So I just want us to, I guess the Minister of Education, I want us to be not just cognizant of children getting passes and going to UE and, you know, all of that stuff. And then you get these passes and then what are you doing after this? You know, I want us to, as citizens, to not always look to our government to see what we can do as far as mentoring and coaching our little part, whether it's one neighbor, your cousin, you know, what we can do. Because yes, government is important. We pay them to serve us, but we are dying, we are suffering, and we have to do something to ourselves. Well, voting UNC back into government is a good start, but, and yeah, that is all I wanted to touch on, that we try to do our part, and we as parents try to pay attention to the skills that our children have so we can not depend on this government, this incarnation of the government, to move us forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Marcia. Any other speakers?
Pleasant good night, everyone. Let me, first of all, say a pleasant good night to the head table. I recognize my NATEX colleague and the Northeast Coordinator, MP for St. Augustine, Khadija Amin. My name is Brian Big. I am here in my capacity as a constituent of St. Joseph, but I'm also the PRO of the St. Joseph Community Council. And in St. Joseph, crime is on the rise. In St. Joseph, citizens don't feel safe. In St. Joseph, we have been crying out for more police patrols. We have been crying out for more action. We have been crying out to feel safe. Home invasions, I take very personal. I am the victim of a home invasion. To this day, I don't know what has happened with that. To this day, I have not heard anything on that investigation. Home invasions makes us feel scared in our own homes. I know exactly how that feels. When I'm in my own home, I am afraid. But I know with this government, that's not going to happen. And the only government that will make me feel safe is a government led by Kamla Prasad Bisesa. We had the Citizen Comfort Patrol. We had police patrols. And nothing of that sort we have now. I am saying today that in St. Joseph, my friends, it is time, and the time is now. Not tomorrow, not yesterday. The time is now. The time is now to remove the People's National Movement. The time is now to move Dial Singh. As I said, and I will close with this, I am from the St. Joseph Community Council. In St. Joseph, we don't have any proper amenities. Water is a problem. Water. And now we're no waters from tomorrow. Oh, today, my apologies, today. And I want to say, we were in darkness just now. We are a praying party. And many of us said, Lord, let there be light. And the Lord gave us light. And that's why I say, Lord, we need Kamala Prasad Bisasa and the United National Congress. But let us all come together, my friends, and let us do this. I thank you.
I want to say thank you to Brian Big. Are there any other speakers? No speakers, please remember to introduce yourself, and your speaking time is 3 minutes.
Assalamu alaikum. Blessed good night to the head table. Blessed good night to the audience and the people who watching on your live. I'm not a man with a sweet voice. I don't come out to charm nobody. When I speak, that means I'm really frustrated. I'm very frustrated at what's going on. The two main factors in crime is miseducation and economic castration, which Rowley is very good at. Run this country down to the ground. What the guy said in Diego Martin was truth and fact. At the age I use our teachers, our military education, supposed to be targeting the youths at age of 5 to 10, teaching them the history of Trinidad and Tobago and the good men that came before. Basilio Pandey, supposed to be taught. Yassim Abubakar, all that, supposed to be taught. Kwame Ture, each and every one supposed to be taught. None should be missed out. Trends work on pictures. So when they walk in a classroom, they're supposed to see pictures of every single hero and events that took place. The water riot in 1911, all that. You'll bring a sense of patriotism in this country. Trinidad have none. You like me by bar waving a flag is not patriotism. I want to say something about for people who are downgrade Haiti. Please stop talking about Haiti in that camera. Haiti and Venezuela have both faced sanctions from the US. Very sad. It's not nice. Trinidad never faced a sanction. Trinidad never fight. We never had anyone during slavery. No slavery belly in Trinidad. We had 4 in Tobago. None in Trinidad. We need to inspire our youths. Right now it have 2 songs being played. And these 2 songs are educating youths on Haitian Revolution and what they did. And now the youths, you could see that youth standing up. But they need somebody to push them. We need the youths to come out. When we protesting, I don't see much of youths with the so-called resistance gang who say they stand up against the politicians. All of them in the interview talk a pack and all of them saying the right thing, but none of them ain't doing it. All of them saying the politician. Rowley. That's why they could come and lock up the man. He embarrassing the prime minister. Fake. It embarrassing. I was on a live with friend, I have some Haitian friends. Jessie Wu is one of them. She's a artist. And she was crying and everybody was complaining about what going on in Haiti. I said, but look at what going on in Trinidad. And we should fight more because we in the middle class. We have a taste of that luxury. We supposed to fight and keep that. Instead, what we doing? We was saying, nah boy, I want to stand up against Rowley. I might lose my government work. Not people in the ministry come out and say all kind of nonsense about him. Even his security service don't like him. The man is not nice, disgraceful. I never see such leader ever before in my life. Never. Somebody complains so much. The only reason why they wouldn't come out and say it, everybody afraid they could lose the bread and butter. But nobody wants to stand up. I will say this to close it up. A leader that will force you to depend on any other race is a leader that will lead you into slavery. A leader that will force you, now today, a leader that will force you into the elites to depend upon them, like he said. Must make the rich richer. So the rich could create opportunity for the poor. Is a leader that will, you know what that future will be if PNM come in power in the next election? You will be, the elders will be out of a job. The youths and them will have to mop and clean floors in these hotels for these elites. You have to work as servants and slaves. And take that and ain't say nothing. They get next 5 years, property tax, whoops, going up. Do what they want. They jump up and drive the best vehicles. All I want is a vehicle that could transport my goods and carry me from A to Z. I don't care what it is. It doesn't matter. I'm not going to watch my people starve. You walk down Independence Square, it's over 30 people line up. That's ridiculous. Remember that. A leader that forces you to depend on any other race, any elites, anybody, is a leader will lead you into slavery.
Thank you, Mr. Wallen. We have any other speakers? Now, people, I want to remind you that your speaking time is 3 minutes and we are looking to wrap up within the next 15 minutes. Remember to introduce yourself and the area you're from.
Greetings to one and all. Head table, I greet you. Councillors, I greet you. And the people on the floor who do the hard work, I greet you. My name is Sandra Joseph, and I'm from the constituency of St. Joseph. The PNM has not only spoken, but have shown their action. None at all. No improvement. They has failed us miserably. I am here to talk about some issues in the constituency. I'll be very brief. Our main roads in the constituency, they are not being cleaned, they are not being maintained. Ministry of Works and Highway Division doing nothing under the PNM. Our roads, deplorable, nothing under the PNM. The representatives have been pleading with the Ministry of Works for years. And to date, no improvement, no action have been taken. PNM is a no-show. No responsibility, no accountability to and for the people who have put them into position so that they can govern on our behalf. The people, all people, not black people, not Indian people, all people are inclusive. The PNM have not put our country in dire debt. Our country is in dire debt. Our people are in dire need for the simplest and basic amenities that we are being taxed for. Let us not be ignorant and lose sight of the significant role we, the people, have in our hands. We have the power to win this election. The time is now. We have to vote. We have to move forward with action. Stop playing politics and let us do politics, which is act. Moving forward. Victory in confidence. Are we confident? I am confident that we could win under the UNC. Be strengthened in unity to take back what we so rightly can achieve. We have a plan that is doable. We must put in the work honestly with smart skills. Obey leadership to the T in love and oneness. We will win this election. We will win this election. On our next meeting, I will talk about something that is pressing: mental health.
Thank you very much, Ms. Joseph. Any other speakers? Now, speakers, remember, we're looking to wrap up soon.
Hey everybody, good night. Respected head table, MP, and the audience, who is the most important actually. My name is Safraz Ali. I'm actually a director with the Agriculture Society, but I'm here not as a director of the Agriculture Society, but I am here as a descendant of farmers, generation of farmers. Right. So, I mean, Senator Lyda said it, the PNM mash up agriculture. My brother from Bataria said it, the PNM, the wicked. Lots of things to talk about in agriculture. I'll just summarize because I know time limited and people getting a little restless right now. So, right now in Trinidad, we importing 40% of the food we eat. I'll say that again. We importing 40%, a little over 40% of the food we eat. It means every meal we eat in the plate, nearly half of it will be imported. And the other half might be local. Right? That's something to think about. And why is that so? Why is that so? Why when we go to the supermarket, you're seeing foreign lettuce? You're seeing foreign sweet pepper, big, nice looking sweet pepper. Why can't the government encourage local romaine lettuce, local different species of lettuce, local sweet pepper? Why? You know why? Because, my friend just said it there, the PNM philosophy is to make the rich get richer. And therefore, I don't like to use percentage, but the 1% who is importing these vegetables has business to do and has products to sell. Right? So therefore, it is in their interest to bring in those products to sell. However, as I said, we importing nearly 40% of the goods we eat. And that is poor for food security. So that's the first problem there. We're importing too much of food. And the government is not doing anything about helping farmers locally. Second problem, I'll just discuss 3 problems and that's it, right? I promise. So the second problem is the lack of infrastructure. Ministry of Agriculture, led by this PNM government, they have done nothing or almost nothing for farmers in terms of infrastructure. And by infrastructure, we mean redigging the canals, redigging the channels that bring in the water to the garden. Right? Causing what we call retention ponds. In the dry season, they have some farming areas that have retention ponds. This helps out greatly. half of these retention ponds are filled with silt. And therefore, in the dry season that coming up next year, farmers going to suffer. You always hear it. In the dry season, farmers suffering for water. And in the rainy season, too much water. Because the water have nowhere to go out. It trapped in the land. So it's a double whammy. All because of the neglect given by this government to farmers. Right? So that's the second problem. The third problem is this. And I mentioned it before in another meeting, but I'll mention it here also. WASA is starting to charge farmers something called water extraction rates for taking water out of the ravines and rivers and watering the garden. Basically. Right? Time up. So let me just finish up the point real quick here. Right? So there is a real oppression going on right now with farmers. They're charging farmers special rates for water to take out the water. But you know what? When rainy season come and flood out the garden, WASA not taking ownership of the water then. So you see the unfairness. It's unfairness right through. Guys, hear what? I have to end off here, but you know what? I need to say this. I need to end off by saying this. Just now in the room here, when the room got total darkness, one person put on their cell phone torchlight. Then the next person put it on, next person put it on, next person. You know what? By the time we finish here, our partner here, we were seeing him plain as ever, even though it was total darkness. And that is the power of the people. When the people come together, and one by one we start to vote in the polling divisions, in the east, in the west, and the north, and the south, we go beat them. So to rephrase it like our famous Prime Minister said, if we come together, we will beat them in the east, we'll beat them in the west, we'll beat them in the north, we'll beat them in the south. We'll beat them. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, former Councillor Safraz Ali. We want to urge speakers, please, because of the live stream, the allowance that we have, it may cut off in a couple of minutes. So, any other speakers before we wrap up?
Hi, good afternoon, everybody. Firstly, well, all protocols observed for time, right? Now, basically, I was supposed to speak about the water crisis in the St. Joseph constituency and by extension the country, but I would like to speak about the lower class and the middle class. Now, for the past 8 to 9 years, I have seen a direct attack on the middle class and the lower class because every day you're going to the groceries, things keep getting more and more expensive. And when you keep reducing the purchasing power of the average citizen, that creates poverty. And then poverty now is something, it's a trickling effect where it fuels crime. And we are also seeing that within the area of St. Joseph, right? And basically what I'm seeing in this country right now is that they are basically trying to eliminate the middle class and basically have an upper class and a lower class. And when you have that, it will fuel crime and it will cause the standard of living for the average citizens to decline. And as a result, that is not good for anyone, you know. And as a person going in the grocery on a weekly basis, you go this week, something raised by $5. The next week, it raised by $10. You want to know what is being done. No price control, no regulation, nothing is being done by the government. And then now, what I've recently noticed is that now you cannot use government services as a political tool. If you have a government service, it is supposed to be for the citizens of the country, right? You know, so what I'm seeing is that they are using the social programs, and they're using that as a form of a pilot project into the next election. And to me, the water, I know a lot of the program. One example is the tainted program That is a program where they basically used to, it's a linesman program where they have a certain time limit to complete. So they don't just send a man up on a wire for 3 months or 4 months or 6 months and say, okay, he's a linesman. These things have a level of both education, competence, and preferences. So you're supposed to be able to have a certain practical knowledge and theoretical knowledge. And if that will take place, then it will cause persons to get into industrial accidents, you know. So I am just pleading with this youth of the constituency of St. Joseph to let us put our differences aside and let us vote for change, you know. I know that I'm a familiar face and I may not have been on this side, but when I reflect back from 2010 to 15, what I'm seeing now and what I'm seeing, what I saw then and what I saw now is two different things, right? I saw persons getting food cards who would have been deserving of it. I saw social programs. I saw mothers being affected. I saw what I would say, a motherly touch, because I was somebody who, you know, and this country needs that type of leadership, and not a leadership where a father have a big stick and say, don't do this, don't do that. That is what's taking place right now, and I am against that. Thank you.
Well done, Mr. Edison. Nero, anybody else in the constituency?
Good night. All protocols observed in the interest of time. I am Shala Alexander, and I reside in the constituency of St. Joseph. I am passionate, and my opinion may be slightly skewed as I am a proud owner of birds, dogs, and other pets. My passion was reawakened when I read an article titled TTS-PCA Faces Closure by September. Absolutely. Now, this article was published in the Guardian newspaper. TTS-PCA stands for Trinidad and Tobago Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals, rescues and shelters abandoned or abused animals. They facilitate adoptions, provides veterinary care, and advocate for stronger animal protection laws while promoting public education on responsible pet ownership. They are supporting some of the most neglected members of society. It would be a real shame to see them close down. The only legislation we have for animals is under the Summaries Offensive Act. So there is no dedicated legislation specifically for animals. These animals are voiceless in our society, and the TTS-PCA has given them a voice, in addition to a number of NGOs that offer similar service. Don't you think that they all should be given an allocation of the budget? Nice. Now I'm moving on because my time is very limited. So I would like to speak a little on information, communication, and technology, ICT. Now, ICT refers to all the tools and systems that help people communicate and share information. And it is a transition into the digital era. I have had first-hand experience where under the People's Partnership Government, the ICT for Seniors program was implemented with the late Dr. Rupert Griffith as the minister. It was created to promote active aging and improve the quality of life for senior citizens by providing them with the access to and the benefits of ICT. This program aimed to bridge a digital divide between generations by empowering seniors with the skills and knowledge to use modern technology, thereby enhancing their ability to perform daily tasks, access services, and communicate more efficiently. However, this program was scrapped. When it was scrapped? when the PNM came into office, leaving senior citizens, one of the most vulnerable groups in our society, to physically visit public offices if they had any business to attend. Even today, visiting any public site is complicated. I don't know if most of you would have tried to access Ministry of Legal Affairs website. Let's say to open a business, a small business. What is the challenges you face? There need to be proper investment and promotion of an ICT initiative targeting those who are most digitally inexperienced, such as our senior citizens. This would result in an improvement in ease of doing business, where citizens are not forced to visit physical offices to get anything done. And this was something the People's Partnership government, led by the Honorable Kamala Prasad Bisesa, had the foresight to implement 10 years ago. And just to add, we were also in the process of constructing a science city next to the Children's Hospital. But anyway, come 2025, the Honorable Prime Minister Kamala Prasad Bisesa will ensure everything is fixed. But you know, it hurts me that all these initiatives was scrapped for what I assume was just simply bad mind. The Ministry of Science and Technology, which was forward thinking, was dismantled and replaced by the Ministry of Digital Transformation. Since its inception in 2022, I have seen no digital transformation. Have any of you seen it? Despite receiving 700 million of taxpayers' money with little or nothing to show for it. The world is continuously evolving with technologies such as artificial intelligence, digital currencies, making rapid progress, and we are left behind under the PNM government. The PNM lack of vision and commitment to technical advancement is glaringly evident. They marginalize the most vulnerable in our society. Instead of building on successful initiatives, they have chosen to dismantle them. This blatant disregard for innovation and the welfare of citizens is clear indication of their inability to govern ineffectively in the digital age. Now, there's one other topic I would have liked to address. I don't know if I would have the time. Unfortunately, I don't. And it was along the line of crime and forming watch groups in respective constituencies. Another forum. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much, Shala Alexander. We have time for one more.
Good night to each and everyone. Councillors, esteemed guests, Julian, I've never met any one of you at all. So, don't know your names, but as a time that we have, I'll try to be a little, quick. Yeah. So, my name is Wendell Bob. I live in number 3 Henry Street, Arangwes, and I reside in the constituency of St. Joseph. It gives me great pleasure to speak to you about a little aspect that deals with crime. A crime-free country, see no evil, hear no evil. Apparently that is what our government now is saying, right? Because every time you ask them, well, what about this and what about that? I ain't see nothing, I hear nothing. All right? Today our country is not safe as we want it to be. It is not a crime-free country. Criminals are committing crime everywhere and almost every day. To prevent crime, the government should have eyes and ears everywhere. But wait, they do have that, right? They have cameras. But for what purpose? So let's say for some reason, these cameras are in the use and properly monitored, then criminals or people who are about to commit a crime can be stopped at an early stage, right? Now, take for example home invasions. These people blatantly walk the streets at all hours and at any time, night or day, right? Even in a crime watch environment, yet they still commit the crime, right? What about things like kidnapping or assassinations, right? That's sometimes in broad daylight. And the list goes on. What if proper measures were to be in place at an early stage? A monitoring system that includes people who are doing the monitoring were to pick up or recognize these monsters, and they have alerted a rapid response team, which is also a part of the monitoring system. Now, it could be in a village, constituency, right? It could be all over the country, not in only one village. But let's just say they get the alert. Wouldn't they act immediately because they are actually in the village? They're close by. They are not going to any other village, and they are not time constrained like the police, taking their daily time to come. They act immediately, right? So they can actually stop a burglar, stop home invasion, even stop anything that is suspicious from happening. You see, the thing about it is that we cannot catch criminal. That is not what we are there for. We don't have the authority or the means or equipment necessary to catch criminals. Our due diligence is to protect people. Protect the criminal from reaching the house or the home of whom? Me? You, anybody. But it's who, right? Nobody knows. So that's our first provision, is to actually stop the crime from happening. But a criminal is a criminal only when committing the crime, right? It's only because the crime is already committed, right? So we're actually helping these guys as well, because definitely you cannot lock them up because they did not commit a crime. So they are still normal people. Exactly? Right. So now if we have records or whatsoever, that up to the authorities to decide. So our team, which is the rapid response team, will do diligence, report it, take them into the directive places, or make the necessary call, put them on hold, and let the necessary authorities come into action. So we are actually stopping them from reaching their goals, right? Because actually taking away what they want to do, right? So it really makes no difference who they're going by or who they're supposed to go by or what. Protection is for all. All of us deserve to be safe and crime-free. What I really want to say is, or what I really want to see, is a proper measurement put in place. Example, working cameras, of course, with a trusted company or even the people themselves. They can't depend on the government because they do have the cameras and they are doing nothing. A team of trustworthy, honest, and reliable people to operate the monitoring system, and that could be in the village. You could use the villagers as well, people who you trust. Trustworthy people, honest and reliable, to be in the rapid response team to respond and act in a timely manner on dangerous alerts. And you can also use the residents who are police officers, right? Security who are precepted, right? You're not going to depend on anybody. We can do this ourselves, these people. Today, we are nowhere on crime. Tomorrow, if we work together, we can protect ourselves. Good night to all. God bless and be safe. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much to Mr. Wendell Bob. At this point in time, ladies and gentlemen, the open floor has just closed. And to bring our vote of thanks this evening, I have the privilege to have with us in St. Joseph MP Khadija Amin, NATEX member for Northeast Regional Coordinator. And we want to say thank you very much for joining us this evening in the home of St. Joseph. MP?
Thank you very much. Give a round of applause to the chairman, Amit Suknanan, young, vibrant individual chairing the constituency of St. Joseph. And this evening, I want to begin by thanking our excellent, wonderful panel of presenters. We had young Dominic Smith, who is getting more and more dynamic every time I hear him speak. And this is an example of the leadership of Kamla Prasad Bisesa, allowing young people to serve and grow with experience. We have Nadina Maharaj, another excellent presenter whom I think we have not heard enough from in these sessions. And we have the always effervescent Damian Lyder. And when they ask Damian to speak for 5 minutes, you have to give him 20 minutes. But he has such a comprehensive understanding and way of explaining property tax that is so, so valuable, not only in St. Joseph, but throughout the country. And I want to also acknowledge our friend Ved Siram, who has been a stalwart in his area of expertise, but he has always been willing to share his knowledge and information. And today I acknowledge and thank him for his presence here. We also want to thank our technical crew. Tonight, all kind of things happen. Current went, internet went down, phone batteries started to die. And I must compliment our brother Kevin Gibbs, who is behind the technical scene, who ensured that even before the current came back, we had mobile internet there, and we were streaming even while our speakers were presenting in the dark. And I think that is illustrative of what we are in the United National Congress. We are the light in the dark in this country. And every one of you who spoke tonight, you represent part of that light. And in every area we go, we have to carry our candle, carry our light. I want to say that the vision of these sessions is to allow the voice of the people to be heard. And all that you said tonight is recorded and will be compiled to be part of the opposition brief as we respond to the budget in Parliament. And that is coming up shortly. But all you know, this is an election year. And you know how they like to mama guy. So your suggestions and recommendations will also be part of the UNC's economic recovery plan. Because we are not just preparing to respond to the budget. We are preparing to return to government with Kamla Prasad Bisesa as Prime Minister. Right? So with those few words, I thank you. There's a gentleman from the media. His battery didn't die. Even through the power outage, he continued recording, and I want you to give him a round of applause. The media is an important part of democracy, and so we're happy to have a member of the media here. And to all those who worked in the background to ensure that things were in place in St. Joseph, you know yourselves, you have been consistent, you have been diligent, you have continued to hold the UNC's flag high. And on behalf of our political leader, the Honorable Kamla Prasad Bisesa, I thank you. And I also want to thank our coordinator, Anil Roberts, who is abroad, as you know, as a coach. But his guidance continued to be present with the team. And tonight I commend and compliment him as we go forward with one leader, one party, onto victory in St. Joseph. Thank you.